Chapter 771. So that Saturday, Tang Lang taught Xiaobao Kung Fu, and Ning Shi taught Lu Jingli how to hook up with girls. In the evening, Lu Tingxiao called her to the yard. "Boss, what can I do for you?" Lu Tingxiao looked like he had something to tell her. "Yes, I have a dinner party tomorrow. I can't have dinner with you." "Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. I need to take Lu Jingli to carry out the plan. I'm with the Guan family," Lu Tingxiao reported. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. "Wow, it seems that your parents are thinking the same thing as me." She asked Lu Jingli to hook up with girls. While they asked Lu Tingxiao to hook up with girls, undoubtedly, they must have found out about her relationship with Lu Tingxiao, so they must have taken measures. To be honest, she didn't expect her relationship with Lu Tingxiao to develop to this point. There must be a lot of things she had to face in the future, but she never regretted it. "Ning Shi, do you trust me?" Lu Tingxiao looked at her solemnly. Ning Shi didn't speak. She tiptoed and kissed him on the lips. She understood that it was just a stalling tactic. That weekend, in a high-end Western restaurant in the capital, Ning Shi and Lu Jingli sat in a corner. "Look, the piano player is Yang Shiro. She used to work in a bar. Yin Juanhao must have helped her find this job." Ning Shi pointed at the girl who was playing the piano on the stage and introduced the situation to Lu Jingli as she looked at the girl. Yang Shiro was wearing a white dress and had long black hair that reached her waist. At first glance, she looked retro and gentle. She was the type that could easily arouse a man's desire to protect her. Seeing Ning Shi staring at the girl, Lu Jingli's face darkened, and he reached out to block her view. Hey, have you seen enough? You already have my brother. Why are you still staring at the girl? That's too much." Ning Shi moved his hand away and continued to look at the girl. "I'm just observing the enemy." Lu Jingli was furious. "I don't believe you. You're staring straight at her. You shallow, stinky men." The corner of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. "Hey, don't you think there's something wrong with this line?" Only then did Lu Jingli blink his eyes. It seemed that something was indeed wrong. Ning Shi touched her chin and looked at him thoughtfully. "But, Lu Jingli, to be fair, just from her appearance, this girl is really attractive to men. Don't tell me you don't feel anything?" Lu Jingli snorted disdainfully. "No, that's not my type." Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. "Oh, you have a favorite type? As far as I know, it's only during this period of time that you've seen through the world of mortals that you've started to have an empty window. The number of hot girls that you've dated in the past are too many to count. They're all skinny and plump. What kind of type can you not have?" Lu Jingli's face darkened. "Of course I have a type I like. Don't make it sound like I'm not picky at all. I'm very picky, let me tell you. The type I really like is the kind of fairy sister who is modest, refined, elegant, and elegant. She is as swift as a flying duck. She is like a deity who treads on the waves. Her words are long, but her breath is like an orchid. She is as startled as a swan. She is above the mortal world." "Heh, your face." Ning Shi rolled her eyes and waved her hand. "You'd better be single for the rest of your life." Chapter 772. What's wrong with me? My expectations aren't high at all, okay? When I asked you what the person you liked was like, you said he was riding on colorful clouds. Lu Jingli snorted, then suddenly remembered something and stared at her. "Oh yes, I suddenly remembered something. Why don't you let my brother hook up with you? It's more convenient for him to do it. Why do we need 7 days? Just one flirting would be enough. You only know how to order me around." Ning Shi looked at him as if he was an idiot. "Nonsense. Your brother is taken, and I won't allow it." Lu Jingli said, "I won't do it if you torture me again." Ning Shi hurriedly patted Lu Jingli's head. Oh, I won't torture you anymore. Be good. Have you read the script I wrote for you?" Lu Jingli was speechless at the mention of this. What kind of lousy script is this? It's so cliché that it's not difficult at all. Didn't you say that this girl is hard to hook up with? Will this really work? It's hard for other people. Don't worry. Not to mention that she's a girl. Even the mothers of children will fall for you. Go, Pikachu. As Ning Shi spoke, she patted Lu Jingli's shoulder. Finally, she pushed this guy who had been nagging away to do business. On the stage, Yang Shiro was playing the piano. Ningxi had stuffed a white rose into Lu Jingli's mouth, which represented purity and innocence. He was walking towards Yang Shiro on stage. At this moment, Lu Jingli was wearing a Bluetooth headset, and Ningxi was remotely controlling him. Go ahead. I don't need your eyes to be full of drama. Just put the rose on the piano, and your task today will be completed. Ningxi was afraid that Lu Jingli would add to the drama, so she stared at him nervously. Fortunately, Lu Jingli's performance was not bad. After Yang Shiro finished playing, the gentleman placed the white rose beside her piano and looked at it affectionately with his peach blossom eyes before turning around and leaving. Ningxi observed Yang Shiro's expression: surprise, shock, disbelief, and ecstasy. She pretended to be calm and indifferent. Basically, it was all within her expectations. Okay, done. Let's go. I'll treat you to a barbecue at the same time. Ningxi also stood up and left the dining hall to follow Lu Jingli. Lu Jingli grumbled in dissatisfaction. I still think it's too simple. You summoned a high-level spirit-branded retainer, and you only want me to kill a mosquito for you? Ningxi couldn't take it anymore and scolded. Are you asking for a beating? Isn't simplicity good? Do you want me to order you around like a cow or a horse? In any case, you are my future brother-in-law. Even if I wanted to cheat someone, I wouldn't cheat you. Why would I abuse you? Although these are good words, why do I feel like I'm being abused again? After leaving the Western restaurant, the two found a roadside stall and sat down, ordering some fried chicken and beer. Do I really not need to be more flirtatious? Otherwise, how would she know my identity? Lu Jingli was still nagging worriedly. What do you know? It's too low to tell her who you are. With your demeanor, she'll definitely find out for herself. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, you continue to come at the same time. You only need to give her one white rose each time. On the fourth day, when the time is almost right, you give her 999 roses, then book the entire restaurant and treat her to a meal. Of course, I will pay for the cost of the flowers and the booking of the restaurant. Chapter 773. Lu Jingli pursed his lips. You're really generous. Haven't you thought about what if you fail? Ningxi shrugged and said indifferently, what else can I do? I'll beat you up to vent my anger. Damn, you just said that I'm your dear future brother-in-law, and you won't mistreat me. The two chatted for a while, and Lu Jingli suddenly jumped up. He counted on his fingers and said, Oh no, oh no, oh no. What do you mean? Ningxi looked at him speechlessly. Today is the 7th day of your relationship with my brother. It's the 7th day, right? Lu Jingli looked as if it was the end of the world. Yes, what's wrong? Ningxi looked puzzled. Lu Jingli put down the drumstick in his hand. Xiao Sisi, I don't want your Manchu Han Imperial Feast or your glutinous rice pork ribs anymore. Can you not break up with my brother? My brother really likes you. Ningxi was dumbfounded. Damn, you've only had a few sips of beer and you're already drunk? When did I break up with your brother? Lu Jingli looked at her with tears in his eyes. But it's been 7 days. You've never dated anyone for more than 7 days, right? Ningxi was speechless. No wonder Lu Tingxiao suddenly wanted to celebrate their 5-day anniversary. No wonder she always felt that there was something wrong with Lu Tingxiao. Could it be that these guys were all thinking the same thing? She was completely speechless, in a 6-star hotel in the capital. Oh, Brother Guan, long time no see. Lu Chongshan went up and held the man's hand enthusiastically. Guan Rui was also very happy and said with a smile, Brother Lu hasn't changed much after so many years. You're still so young. I can tell that you're not worried at all. Mrs. Guan smiled and said, Of course I'm not worried when I have 2 such good sons. Of course not. Our 2 sons are so annoying. How can they be as considerate as your daughter? Yin Rui grabbed Guan Ziyao's hand, her face full of satisfaction. Ziyao, this girl is getting more and more beautiful. After some small talk, the 2 families sat down at the dinner table. Didn't Zaheo come back this time? No. After sending us back, he immediately rushed back. The company can't do without him. Fortunately, Ziyao is by your side. Yeah. This girl is incredible. I heard that she just got her master's degree in business administration. A girl, So young, yet so ambitious. It's really not easy. Yin Rui praised nonstop. While her parents were chatting, the atmosphere between Guan Ziyao and Lu Tingxiao was also quite good. Tingxiao, do you still remember Gaozhua? He was my high school classmate and the president of the student council at the time. Guan Ziyao casually threw out a topic. Although they had been separated for 7 years, they had countless common memories. That was something that nothing could erase. Yes. Some time ago, Gaozhua invested in technology stocks and lost everything. Guan Ziyao sighed. Although this is the era of the technology bubble, many technology companies have limited defense depth. It is too difficult to discover the final winner early, and it is difficult to make a reasonable valuation of them. There are indeed risks. In addition, there are 2 types of companies that require a lot of capital but do not have enough profit potential, and companies that are too young. Generally, I do not dare to get involved. There are exceptions. Chapter 774. Of course. For example, IBM and Alibaba. Although they both have deep defense, they have abundant cash flow and a long history of profit. You bought the shares of IBM at the price of $356 per share with $30 million. 3 years later, IBM changed its business strategy and began to withdraw its capital to invest in the production of smartphones. Now the price of the shares has risen to $328 per share, which is 10 times more than before. You're the best. You dare to play with all kinds of domains. It's just luck. You can be modest in front of others, but don't pretend to be modest in front of me. The parents of both sides looked at the 2 children with satisfaction. Look, they're so good at talking. Alas, you don't know that my son only replied with even when I talk to him. It's rare to have someone he can talk to. Don't mention it. My son is the same. I remember they got along very well when they were young. Guan Rui was quite dissatisfied with the fact that Lu Tingxiao already had a son and a girlfriend. But when he thought of Lu Chongshan's promise and saw that the Lu family's business had increased several times since Lu Tingxiao took over, he suddenly felt that it was not a big deal. Most importantly, this marriage would bring immeasurable benefits to the Guan family. In fact, Lu Chongshan was not the most satisfied with Guan Ziyao. He was most satisfied with Zhuang Ku'er, the eldest daughter of the Zhuang family. She was a real beauty. Even Guan Ziyao grew up in a business family and was too shrewd and snobbish. Unfortunately, recently, the Zhuang family seemed to have turned cold to them, which made Lu Chongshan feel quite regretful. After all, the Zhuang family was a family of officials, and they only had marriages with aristocratic families like theirs. They rarely had marriages with the Shang family. This kind of thing could not be forced. In the end, the host and the guest enjoyed the meal. Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui finally relaxed and waited for Lu Tingxiao to change his mind. But they didn't know that their son actually regarded Guan Ziyao as a trick to confuse them. Pearl River Imperial View. After returning to the apartment, Ningxi had just taken a shower and was about to go to bed when the doorbell rang. Seeing Lu Tingxiao outside, Ningxi was a little surprised. Lu Tingxiao, why are you here so late? Come in. After entering the house, Ningxi was just about to get him slippers when she was hugged. What's wrong? I'm sorry. Due to some reasons, I can't change their attitude in the short term. However, whether it's love or marriage, it's between the 2 of us. You don't have to worry about or please anyone. No matter what happens, don't hide it from me. Leave it to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I understand. Ningxi nodded. So he was afraid that she would mind. So he came over to soothe her in the middle of the night. Actually, it's very easy to deal with that side, Lu Tingxiao said. You have a way? Ningxi immediately asked suspiciously. Since he had a way, why didn't he say so earlier? Lu Tingxiao nodded. There is an effective method, and it's very simple. It's just that it hasn't been implemented yet. Really? What is it? The more Ningxi listened, the more curious she became. Lu Tingxiao replied, to create humans. Ningxi scratched her head. Build what? Lu Tingxiao looked at her stomach meaningfully. Noticing Lu Tingxiao's gaze, Ningxi blushed. Shit. Lu Tingxiao, why are you being dirty again? Lu Tingxiao, how is it dirty? Wasn't it a very sacred thing? Ning Shi, the process of creating humans is dirty. Chapter 775. Lu Tingxiao rubbed her dirty little head helplessly. I'm leaving. Ning Shi was dumbfounded. Ah, you're leaving now? Did he come all the way here just to say these words?
Yes.
Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Really? Are you sure? Aren't you afraid that I'll break up with you tomorrow morning? It's the 7th day. It's been a week. It's the day of our breakup. Hearing this, Lu Tingxiao's back stiffened. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's reaction, Ning Shi touched her forehead, not knowing what to say. Alas, what should I say to you? Mr. Boss, you're so smart. Why did you even believe that idiot Lu Jingli's words? I told you, you're special. Lu Tingxiao was about to leave when he paused again. What's special about me? Everything's special, Ning Shi said gently. Lu Tingxiao gazed at her and suddenly asked, more special than the person you liked before? Huh. Ning Shi was stunned. Aren't you the person I like? She was about to blurt it out when she suddenly realized that the person Lu Tingxiao was referring to, that guy? Thinking of this, Ning Shi suddenly shivered, and all the hair on her body almost stood up. It's so late. Can we not mention that person? She panicked. She had finally gotten rid of his shadow. Lu Tingxiao's eyes darkened and he unconsciously tightened his arms around her. Okay, you're the person I like at this moment. Don't let your imagination run wild. Stay with me tonight. Then we can celebrate the 8th day of our anniversary when we wake up tomorrow morning, Ning Shi suggested happily. Okay. Lying in bed that night, Ning Shi couldn't fall asleep. She got up and turned to look at him. Lu Tingxiao, the world will premiere in the capital in a few days. Will you go to see it? Lu Tingxiao said. No. Ning Shi immediately straightened up. Why? Lu Tingxiao looked at her and tucked her in without saying a word. Ning Shi looked disappointed. She pointed at her fingers pitifully and said, This is my first movie, and it's my first movie after I was poached by you. It's very meaningful. I want to show you how good I am. Why don't you watch it? It felt like she had scored 100 marks on the test, but her papa was not willing to look at her test paper. Because I might not be able to stop myself from taking it off the shelves. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her and said expressionlessly, Ning Shi, huh? The next second, her heart skipped a beat as she suddenly understood. Was it because she and Jiang Mai were acting as lovers in the movie? However, hadn't all the sex scenes and kissing scenes been deleted and performed in a stream of consciousness technique? His only first love kiss was through a mask. Not even that? All of them were taken off the shelves. How terrifying. Boss, please don't look. Ning Shi changed her words decisively. After spending some time with him, Ning Shi had some understanding of him. Lu Tingxiao was definitely not as harmless as he appeared to be. On the contrary, he was a terribly possessive person. He didn't break her legs, lock her in bed, and let her run around outside. Knowing that she would be jealous, he just didn't watch her acting. That was definitely his true love. Chapter 776. The early morning sun shone through the window, and the girl's skin was so soft and delicate that one could almost see the soft and cute fur under the sunlight. Lu Tingxiao leaned against the headboard and gently touched the girl's cheek with his fingers. Previously, his heart had been stretched taut like a string. Only at this moment did he finally relax. It had been a week since Dib came back, and he was finally sure that the girl in front of him was really with him. Ning Shi woke up on time according to her biological clock. As a result, the moment she opened her eyes, she saw a handsome face that was as beautiful as a god. She was in a good mood. She rubbed her cheek against the man's finger and hugged him like a koala. She said in a daze, Oh, Mr. Boss, you're awake, good morning. Morning? The quilt was warm and comfortable, so Ning Shi subconsciously slept a little longer. A moment later, she suddenly opened her eyes. By the way, you left Xiaobao alone at home again. Isn't that a bad idea? Xiaobao won't be angry, right? Lu Tingxiao said. No, I'm doing serious business. Ning Shi said. Serious business? Lu Tingxiao said. I still have half a mother to work on. Ning Shi said, Did he always lie to Xiaobao like this? In the past few days, Ningxi had been busy preparing for the upcoming spring and summer fashion week in addition to following the production crew of Under the Heavens. After all, whether they could open up their reputation and market depended on this event. Finally, after Lu Jingli gave her white roses for 3 days, the plan to conquer Yang Shiro came to the most critical 4th day. Night fell. Yang Shiro went to work at the restaurant as usual, feeling excited and nervous. On the first day, after catching a glimpse of the man who gave her the white rose, she almost couldn't believe it. Except for some top figures in the capital who were too low-key and never appeared in newspapers or magazines, she knew all the celebrities in the capital like the back of her hand, let alone the second young master of the Liu family who had always been high-profile. However, she couldn't believe that such a person would have anything to do with her, so she asked around and finally confirmed that this man was the second son of the Liu Corporation, Lu Jingli. Previously, a well-known gossip magazine had made a ranking list, and Lu Jingli was named the #1 man on the list of the men that all the women in the capital wanted to have a one-night stand with the most, which showed the charm of this man. Of course, at the same time, it also showed that this kind of man could be toyed with, but if you took it seriously, you would lose. In a hidden corner of the restaurant, Ningxi flipped through a gossip magazine and teased Lu Jingli on the other side of the Bluetooth headset. Pfft. Lu Jingli, you're actually voted as the #1 man on the list of men that girls want to have a one-night stand with most. Girls just want to have sex with you but don't want to marry you. You deserve to be single for the rest of your life. Humph. So what if you want to fuck me? What's wrong? If you want to fuck me, that's what I'm capable of. Lu Jingli said proudly. Yes, yes, yes. You're capable. So, you have to perform well today. Don't use the same methods you used to chase after girls. Don't let young Shiro think that you're just playing around. You have to let her think that you're serious about her, and that she's unique, understand? I know. You've said it 800 times. By the way, is my brother not on that ranking list? Lu Jingli asked curiously. Chapter 777. Ningxi took a look and said, Of course, your brother is #1 on the list of men that girls want to marry. Do you still need to ask? Oh, I'm so angry. Ha ha ha, don't be angry. Jiang Mai is #1 on the list of men that girls want to have a one-night stand with. Does that make you feel better? Nonsense. The number of one-night stands was at least more than the number of one-night stands. Okay, Yang Shiro is here. Get ready. Let's get down to business. The door of the restaurant was pushed open. Yang Shiro opened the door and came in, looking confused, because the entire restaurant was dimly lit, and there was no one inside. What happened? Didn't he inform her that the restaurant was closed today? If it was closed, then she wouldn't be able to see that man today. She had been trying hard to tell herself to calm down. Even if a man like Lu Jingli really liked her, it was probably just a whim. It was just that the ambition and desire in the depths of his heart was still fiercely stirred. Although she came from a poor family, she was born with a good figure and good looks. With these, she never lacked the pursuit of men. However, how could she like those ordinary people? Later, she finally found the opportunity to catch Yin Juanhao, the man who could let her completely get rid of the past and enter the world she yearned for. Moreover, not only his family background, he was gentle and handsome like a prince in a fairy tale world, which met all her requirements. Therefore, she made up her mind that even if she died, she must seize this opportunity. As for his wife, when she became his official wife, no one would remember how she got this man. However, when the white rose appeared, Yang Shiro's suppressed greed and desire were suddenly awakened. The human heart was the most greedy thing. Yin Juanhao was very good, but she suddenly found that there was someone better than Yin Juanhao. As for a natural beauty like her, she was worthy of even better things. Once Pandora's box was opened, it couldn't be closed. This kind of idea was out of control, and as the white rose appeared for the second and third time, it became more and more intense. Therefore, even if she knew the danger behind it, she still couldn't help but let the greed spread and grow like a vine. The closing of the restaurant made Yang Shiro frown. Her expectations suddenly fell to the bottom, and her eyebrows were full of disappointment. She was going to call her supervisor. However, just as he took out his phone, the originally dim dining room suddenly lit up. The super luxurious crystal chandelier above his head, which was usually only turned on important days, also lit up. In the next second, she saw a man appear under the dazzling crystal. The man was wearing a formal black suit and a dark red bow tie. A retro pocket watch chain hung on his left chest. Inside was a British-style brown vest and a white shirt. He was also holding a large bouquet of white roses in his arms. He looked like a character that had walked out of a canvas. Unsurprisingly, young Shiro was completely stunned. She could hardly believe her eyes. Following that, the piano performance that she had been performing every day was now being performed by someone else. There was even a professional band playing romantic and soothing music beside her. On the only table with lit candles, fresh flowers and exquisite delicacies were placed. Chapter 778. Just a second ago, she was still disappointed that she couldn't see this man today. Unexpectedly, the next second, he appeared in front of her like this. This kind of ecstasy almost made her heart explode. Just like this, her heart beat faster and faster. She watched as the man walked up to her step by step and then handed the bouquet of 99 white roses to her. Young Shiro stared at the man in front of her blankly. It took her a long time to calm herself down. She pretended to be surprised and confused. "Sir, thank you for the flowers a few days ago. I still don't know who you are. Hello, my surname is Liu. I'm very sorry to have taken the liberty to do such a thing, but after struggling for a long time, I still can't control this impulse. It doesn't matter who I am. I like your performance very much. You can treat me as well, your fan. May I have the honor of inviting you to dinner?" Young Shiro hesitated for a few seconds before reaching out to take the bouquet of flowers. She pretended to be ignorant of the world and completely didn't know what he meant to her. "Sir, you're too polite. I'm not a professional. I'm just here to make a living by playing the piano." Lu Jingli pulled out a chair for her and stared at her unblinkingly. "No, I'm not talking about the piano, but the person who plays the piano." Young Shiro's heart suddenly jumped. In the corner, Ningxi had been very satisfied with the performance so far. However, after waiting for a long time, she didn't hear Lu Jingli's next line. Then she saw this guy touch his hair. This secret signal meant that he had forgotten his lines. Ningxi was speechless and the corners of her mouth twitched. She acted as a teleprompter. "I've never seen a girl like you." Not far away, Lu Jingli heard Ningxi's reminder and continued to speak. "I've never seen a girl like you. The first time I saw you, I couldn't move my eyes away from you." Ningxi anxiously reminded him. "Lu Jingli, watch your expression. Don't be so calm. Okay? You better act a little more nervous. Do you know what it feels like to fall in love for the first time? You have to act like you're in love for the first time. Okay?" Lu Jingli's face darkened. First love, my ass. Although he had been in love so many times, he didn't know what it felt like at all. He had always been loved by others. If you really can't, just stutter, clench your fingers a little tighter, or knock things over. Show me through these small details. Ningxi could only teach step by step. Fortunately, Lu Jingli was quite perceptive. He gripped the glass tightly and took a big gulp of wine. His expression was nervous as he stammered. "I've seen many girls, but I've never seen one like you. It's really very strange. I don't know what this feeling is. I think, if I get closer to you, I'll understand." I don't know what I'm saying. Do you understand what I mean?" Seeing such a high and mighty man like Lu Jingli acting like a young boy who just had his first awakening of love in front of her, young Shiro's originally nervous mood suddenly calmed down. She had a sense of satisfaction as if everything was under her control, and her vanity and self-confidence were greatly satisfied. She smiled lightly and said ambiguously, "Maybe we're fated." After that, everything went smoothly. The atmosphere of the meal was ambiguous, which basically achieved the effect that Ningxi wanted. Then, it was time to find the next critical moment. Chapter 779. Usually, when young Shiro got off work, Yin Juanhao would come to pick her up. So, when Lu Jingli offered to drive her home, Yang Shiro immediately rejected him and said that she had an appointment with her best friend. So, Lu Jingli left first. In fact, Lu Jingli didn't leave but waited in the dark. Soon, a Porsche drove over from the parking lot. Yin Juanhao got out of the car and picked Yang Shiro up as usual. He kissed her lips lovingly. "Are you tired from work?" "Lu Jingli, it's your turn. This is an eye scene. You have to be shocked, heartbroken, unable to believe that you've lost your love. Exaggerate it. Do you understand?" Ningxi repeatedly urged. Lu Jingli's lips twitched and he rolled his eyes at her. "Why don't you change careers and become a director? Because I'm afraid that if there are too many actors like you, I'll die of anger." I'm very good at acting, okay? Okay. Your first time was great enough. Hurry up and go. They're almost done kissing." Ningxi pushed him out anxiously. Of course he was good at acting. He had been in love so many times, but he acted like he had no experience at all. He didn't care at all. Anyone with eyes could tell that he was just fooling around. No wonder the girls only wanted to sleep with him. Lu Jingli followed the prearranged script and dropped the car key in his hand to the ground with a pa sound. Then he looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He looked like he had just met his true love, only to find out that his true love already had someone else. Yang Shiro's face turned pale when she saw Lu Jingli. She hadn't expected him to come back. "Damn it. I told you to be pompous, but I didn't tell you to be this pompous. Your eyes are too wide. Your acting skills aren't good enough. Stop standing there, or you'll be seen through. Just turn and leave," Ningxi urged. It was finally over. In the car, Lu Jingli lay on the seat like a dead dog. "Acting is so hard. I feel like I'm being drained. Of course, it's a technical job. What else do I have to do tomorrow? We've laid enough groundwork. You don't have to do anything tomorrow or the day after. Just leave her hanging. The day after that, we'll be done with our last scene." "Thank you, Director Ning. Be good. I'll give you an extra chicken drumstick when we get back." In the evening, when Ningxi returned to her apartment, she had just parked the car when she unexpectedly saw two acquaintances outside the car. Was that Ning Xuelua and Su Yin snuggling up to each other under the streetlight? Ning Xuelua rarely stayed in the apartment, and she bought a villa after history became popular. She didn't expect to see her today. "Su Yin, father said that after this fashion show, he will take this opportunity to talk to grandfather about letting me enter the company." Last time, when father mentioned it, grandfather was already unhappy. This time, will grandfather be even angrier? After all, grandfather still seems to want to wait for big sister to come back. Ning Xueluo asked with a troubled expression. "Of course not. Grandfather will definitely change his mind when he sees how excellent you are." Ning Xuelua sighed softly. "In fact, I don't want to go. After all, I'm in an awkward position. But I really don't have the heart to refuse father. I've refused many times before. I'm afraid father will be disappointed. Besides, I really want to share the burden with father and grandfather. But..." Chapter 780. Then go. After all, you went in with your own strength, didn't you? No one will say anything. But, sister, will she think that I'm robbing her? I really don't want to compete with her. Otherwise, I wouldn't have started my own company. You're thinking too much. You deserve all this. How can you say that you're robbing her? I've already sent the gown to Qin Shangyue for you. There shouldn't be any problem. Su Yin, you don't have to do so much for me. Silly, you're my future wife. If I don't help you, who else can I help? In the blink of an eye, it was the last day of the appointment with Qin Shangyue. It was already night time, but Ningxi was still unperturbed. In the end, Lu Jingli lost his cool and said, "Hey, there's not much time left. Are you going to let me fail at the last step? I've already sent someone to find out. Yang Shiro and Yin Juanhao are still in love these days. They have no intention of breaking up at all. Of course, she won't break up with Yin Juanhao. Do you think she'll be so stupid as to kick out of her previous home before she's sure that she can handle you? Then what should I do?" Ningxi looked at the time on her phone and waited for another half an hour. Then she slowly changed her clothes and put on makeup that looked very beautiful at first glance. Finally, she looked at the radiant Lu Jingli and said, "Didn't I tell you not to shave for the next few days? That will affect my looks," Lu Jingli said with a serious face. Ningxi pulled him over speechlessly and had no choice but to put on makeup for him. 10 minutes later, Lu Jingli, who had been in high spirits, immediately looked extremely haggard. Lu Jingli looked at Ningxi and then at himself in the mirror. He was pleasantly surprised. "Damn, Xiao Cici, your makeup skills are really comparable to disguises. My brother is so lucky. Why are you talking about your brother? Every time you change your makeup, you become a different person. It's like changing girlfriends every day. How fresh and exciting is that?" This guy's focus was indeed different. When Ningxi and Lu Jingli came to the restaurant again, there was only half an hour left before young Shiro got off work. Ningxi had already made a reservation in advance. The distance between them was neither too far nor too close, just enough for them to vaguely hear the conversation. Lu Jingli took a look at the gorgeously dressed Ningxi who was holding his arm. "Why is it different from the previous script? Are you going to make a guest appearance?" Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. "It's all because of your poor acting skills. Just in case, I had to do it myself." Young Shiro, who was playing the piano, was surprised when she saw Lu Jingli. However, when she saw the woman beside Lu Jingli, her expression changed. Ningxi held Lu Jingli's arm and sat down at the reserved seats. They ordered and then began to chat. Ningxi kept trying to find a topic to talk to Lu Jingli. However, Lu Jingli's gaze remained absent-mindedly on young Shiro, who was playing the piano. Young Shiro realized that Lu Jingli's heart was still on her. She was extremely excited and looked at him affectionately. Ningxi looked at Lu Jingli and then at young Shiro. She stood up, splashed half a glass of water on Lu Jingli, and then turned to leave angrily. Lu Jingli revealed an embarrassed expression and left the restaurant as well. Chapter 781. Finally, after confirming Lu Jingli's feelings for her, coupled with the sense of crisis brought by Ningxi's appearance, young Shiro's psychological defenses finally collapsed. She stopped playing and quickly chased after Lu Jingli. By the roadside, Lu Jingli was about to get into the car. Behind him, young Shiro called out to him, panting, "Mr. Lu, can we talk?" In the corner, Ningxi narrowed her eyes. She could finally draw in the net. The private room in the restaurant where Lu Jingli and young Shiro were talking was a big room with a compartment inside. Ningxi had already made an appointment with Yin Juanhao. At this moment, Yin Juanhao was in that compartment. Ningxi used her identity as young Shiro's best friend to invite Yin Juanhao over. She said that she had something important to tell him, and Yin Juanhao immediately rushed over. After waiting for a while, he suddenly heard two people's footsteps outside, followed by a familiar voice. It was young Shiro. Yin Juanhao was about to go out when he heard a man's voice. So, out of a man's instinct, he subconsciously held his breath and stopped in his tracks. "Miss Yang, what can I do for you?" Lu Jingli asked politely and indifferently. Young Shiro was afraid that Lu Jingli would disappear again, so she said hurriedly, "Mr. Lu, you've misunderstood. The man you saw in the parking lot that day has nothing to do with me. At that time, he forced me." "Who was that man?" Lu Jingli asked deliberately. Young Shiro explained even more anxiously. "He's a customer I met at my previous workplace. He's a very nice person, and he helped me a lot. I'm very grateful to him, but that's all. I know that he might have some other thoughts about me, but I've only ever felt grateful to him, and I've always rejected his advances. He already has a wife. How could I break up his family? You don't like him?" "How could I like him?" Young Shiro said anxiously. In the end, she said shyly, "Mr. Lu, I like you. Actually, I've liked you since the first time I saw you. It's just that you're too far away from me. I've never thought that you'd actually. Is that person called Yin Juanhao?" Lu Jingli asked. Young Shiro did not expect that Lu Jingli had already found out the other party's identity. Her face stiffened slightly. She was glad that she had spoken up first and seized the initiative. With a pained expression, she said, Yes, you also know that he has power and influence. I can't fight back at all. I can only hide as much as I can. The next second, there was a loud bang and the cubicle door was slammed open. Yin Juanhao rushed out with bloodshot eyes and slapped Yang Shiro's face. Bitch! Yang Shiro was stunned when she saw Yin Juanhao. Juanhao, why are you here? If I wasn't here, how would I know that you're such a lowly person? You keep saying that I'm your everything and that you're willing to die for me. Upon hearing this, Yang Shiro's first reaction was to look at Lu Jingli anxiously. Mr. Lu, let me explain. Yin Juanhao also glared at Lu Jingli angrily, and then he was stunned. Wasn't he the second young master of the Lu group? How could Yang Shiro be related to such a person? Could there be some misunderstanding? Lu Jingli, on the other hand, had an innocent expression on his face. He shrugged and said, I just come to this restaurant often to eat. I admired Miss Yang's piano playing and chatted for a while. However, Miss Yang seems to have misunderstood me. Yang Shiro's face was filled with disbelief. What? You gave me flowers, and even treated me to a meal, Lu Jingli said. And then? Yang Shiro could not say a word. Lu Jingli had never said anything out of line, nor had he done anything out of line. Moreover, he had always been a flirtatious person. He had given flowers to many women. Was all of this just wishful thinking on her part? Chapter 782. Late at night, in a villa in the south of the city, the assistant carefully carried a gorgeous gown into the bedroom. Sister Yu, I've chosen the clothes for Fashion Week. Do you want to take a look? It's a histity gown. I saw that you were quite impressed with their designer's style. So? Qin Shengyue sat in front of the dresser absent-mindedly. She didn't even look at it and said casually, Leave it. Oh. Seeing that Qin Shengyue didn't refuse, the assistant heaved a sigh of relief and quickly put the gown down. After leaving, the assistant immediately sent a text to the person who asked her for help. No problem. I've handed it over to Sister Yu. In the room, Qin Shengyue stared blankly at the gown on the bed for a while. Then, she took out a document from the drawer. It was a divorce agreement. In the past few days, Yin Juanhao's attitude towards her had become colder and colder, and he had been urging her to get a divorce even more urgently. It had even reached the point where he didn't care about his reputation and went straight to court. She got up and slowly opened the cabinet. Inside was a beautiful runway gown. It was the gown she would wear on the international stage for the first time. Her personality was indeed a little capricious and fiery, and she wasn't as gentle and considerate as that woman. However, this didn't mean that she had given less in this relationship. Originally, she had the chance to become a top supermodel and walk at the top of the pyramid, but for this man, she had resolutely given up her dream. In the end, what did she get in return? She was nothing compared to a woman who sang in a bar. Divorce? She had paid such a price. She had broken her own wings, and now she was asked to get a divorce. How could she be willing to watch those two fly away together? However, she had already come this far. Other than divorce, what other path did she have? She raised her head slightly and looked at the time on the wall. It would be midnight in a few minutes. At this moment, she suddenly subconsciously thought of the girl she had met in the parking lot that day and her promise. She couldn't help but smile bitterly. She slowly opened the drawer and took out a divorce agreement with trembling hands. At this time, the door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Yin Juanhao, who hadn't been home for more than half a month, was standing at the door, staring at her with bloodshot eyes. His gaze made Qin Shengyue's heart ache. Didn't I say I would give you an answer tomorrow? You can't even wait one night? The next second, Yin Juanhao dropped to his knees in front of her and slapped himself hard. He hugged her legs and said, Wifey, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Please. Qin Shengyue. At that moment, a voice suddenly sounded in Qin Shengyue's mind. I promise I'll make your husband cry when he comes back to find you. He'll slap himself while begging for your forgiveness. Then, her cell phone suddenly rang. She received a new message. Miss Qin, please give me a 5-star review if you're satisfied. Zealing, the next night, in a private room of the Imperial Hotel. Qin Shengyue finally sized up the girl in front of her. You. How did you do it? I asked Jun Hao for the reason, but he didn't say anything. He just kept saying that he was wrong and begged me to forgive him. This was within Ning Shi's expectation. As a man, how could Yin Juanhao tell his wife that he was cheated on by a mistress? Nothing special. I just hired a man to hook up with Yang Shiro and let your husband catch her on the spot. Ning Shi explained simply. Chapter 783. Qin Shengyue looked enlightened, but she was more suspicious. Is it that easy? She wasn't boasting, but it was true that with Yin Juanhao's qualifications, it was impossible for Yang Shiro to be seduced by another man when he was only one step away from the top. Everything is possible. Ning Shi only said this one sentence. Qin Shengyue didn't want to hear more about that woman, so she didn't ask further. She looked at Ning Shi and said, "No matter how you did it, I will fulfill my promise. I will wear your designs even if they are shit." Ning Shi's face darkened. I know I'm using unorthodox means to achieve my goal. It's not honorable, but my designer is really capable. As he spoke, he handed her a folder. It was full of introductions about their studio and Gong Shang's works. Qin Shengyue took it and glanced at it, but her expression gradually changed. Are you the studio that won the Golden Top Award?
Yes.
I didn't pay much attention to the outside world because of my husband's incident. I didn't expect the winner of the Golden Top Award this time. Interesting. What's the relationship between your designer and Dai Wei? Why do they look like the same person? They look like the same person at different times. Dai Wei's style is a bit immature, but full of passion and vitality, while ZX's style is more mature and explosive. Qin Shengyue analyzed. She was indeed a professional. Ning Shi nodded. I can't say anything now, but one day, the truth will be revealed. Qin Shengyue thought for a bit, closed the folder and asked, since you even have the Golden Top Award, why are you worried about not getting a job? Why did you try so hard to find me? Ning Shi scratched her head. On one hand, the market is saturated. You can see that our style is the same as history's. On the other hand, we haven't found a suitable sales manager yet. Some studios have designers who are also sales managers, but our designer is the kind of person who focuses on design. So I don't want to distract him. Qin Shengyue tapped the table with her knuckles and said, I'll give you one. Huh. Ning Shi blinked. Give me one? Give me what? I'm giving him to you. He's the ace of my marketing department, Qin Shengyue said nonchalantly. Puffed. Ning Shi almost spat out the coffee in her mouth. You can give people away? Big sister, aren't you being too generous? Why not? Do you want it? It's fine if you don't want it. Wait, let me ask first, is the one you gave me a man or a woman? Is there a difference? Qin Shengyue asked. Ning Shi nodded vigorously. Of course there's a difference. If it's a man, forget it. Why? Qin Shengyue didn't understand. Why? Of course, it was because he was afraid that the great Demon King would be jealous. The last time he picked up Gong Shangza, Lu Tingxiao had already flipped out. This time, it would be even worse if he accepted a man. That's because my designer has a weird habit. He can't draw a draft when he sees a man. Ning Shi pulled Gong Shangza out to block him. Qin Shengyue didn't expect that to be the reason. She couldn't help but laugh. However, it was understandable. Many designers had some unknown quirks. Don't worry. It's a woman. Ning Shi heaved a sigh of relief. All right then. Fine, fine, fine. I want it. I want it. If it was a woman, it would definitely be fine. It should be fine, right? Chapter 784. That's settled then. I'll get her to report to you later. Qin Shengyue made the final decision. Ning Shi was suddenly a little worried. Well, is your ace expensive? If it's too expensive, I can't afford it even if you give her to me. Besides, will she agree? After all, this is a small place. Since it's a gift, of course you don't have to pay. I signed a 5-year contract with her, and there's still 1 year left. I'll transfer her to you this year. After a year, it's up to her to decide if she wants to stay with you or come back to me. Ning Shi frowned and thought about it. Although Qin Shengyue said so, she really didn't have to pay. However, This ace was with Qin Shangyue. Since her performance was the best, her annual salary should be at least a few million, right? And this was a conservative estimate. When she came to her small studio, she might only get a basic salary. This difference, finally, she gritted her teeth. Fine, I'll go all out. I want this person. If my studio can't rise within a year, I'll make up for her losses myself. Qin Shangyue looked at the girl in front of her, and a trace of admiration flashed across her eyes. Don't worry, my ace isn't someone to be trifled with. If she can only get a basic salary within a year, I don't have to give her to you. You don't have to worry about her ability, but whether or not you can subdue her and make her work for you will depend on yourself. Okay, I understand. She nodded. Oh yeah, remember to prepare 3 sets of clothes for me, okay? Qin Shangyue suddenly reminded her. That's a lot of 3 sets? Are we giving you alternatives? She didn't understand. Qin Shangyue glanced at her. Not alternatives. All 3 sets must be of high quality. I want to wear them all. 1 set for the morning, afternoon, and evening. Am I only going to wear 1 set of clothes for such an important occasion? What? You're willing to wear 3 sets of clothes? She was shocked. What did you think? I thought you would at most wear 1. After all, she was the vanguard of fashion. It was already hard enough for her to have 1 set of clothes that was the work of a cutting-edge designer. In order to maintain her image, her other clothes were all custom-made by top international brands. This time, she was actually willing to completely become a showcase for their activities. Qin Shangyue looked indifferent. It's nothing. I'm in a good mood today. Of course. She was speechless. Okay. She really didn't expect that her impulsive suggestion would ultimately bring her much more benefits than she had expected. She had not invited her own brother-in-law in vain. After all, she and Lu Jingli had been going back and forth for a week. It wasn't in vain that she yelled until her voice was hoarse. She taught Lu Jingli, that playboy, how to seduce girls. Qin Shangyue rested her chin on her hand and glanced at her. Suddenly, she said awkwardly, Hey, to be honest, are you looking down on me? My husband is already treating me like this, and I'm still hoping that he will change his mind. She scratched her head. With my temper, it doesn't matter if I'm unfaithful once or 100 times. But every family has its own difficulties. You must have your own difficulties, right? Yes, difficulties. Qin Shangyue sighed. She smiled bitterly and murmured, because the price is too high. I traded my most precious thing for him, my dream. Chapter 785. Ningxi knew that Qin Shangyue had quit the international fashion show and stayed in the capital because of Yin Juanhao. In some ways, Qin Shangyue was quite similar to her, who had given up her dream of acting for Su Yin. That was probably why she couldn't help but help her. However, compared to Qin Shangyue, she had chosen a completely different path. Although it was difficult to find the most precious things and herself, she never regretted it. The Liu family's old residence. Hey girl, you're so busy studying and working. I didn't expect you to know how to cook. Yin Rui looked at the dishes made by Guan Ziyao on the table in surprise. There was no one at home today, so she took the opportunity to call Guan Ziyao over. She wanted to have a private chat with her and understand more about her life outside all these years. In the end, not only was this girl elegant and knowledgeable, but she had also made a few of her specialties. Although they were just ordinary home-cooked dishes, it was already rare. Guan Ziyao was surprised. I lived alone when I was studying abroad. It's all because of that. It's just that I didn't do it well. I hope you don't mind, Auntie. Listen to what you're saying. You're already very good. Most girls nowadays don't do housework. It's rare that you still have the heart to do it when you're so busy. I might be a little traditional, but I still think that although people like us don't need to cook every day, the meaning of cooking is definitely different. You're right, Auntie. Yin Rui herself had good cooking skills, so for her daughter-in-law's standards, cooking skills were still very important. She had thought that a spoiled young lady like Guan Ziyao wouldn't know how to cook since she was so busy with her work and studies. She hadn't expected her to know how to cook. It was a pleasant surprise. By the way, Ziyao, your yam pork rib soup is very good. I'll bring some to boss later. Why don't you come with me? Yin Rui took the opportunity to suggest. Guan Ziao looked troubled. Sorry, Auntie. I have a plan to work on when I get back tonight. I might not be able to go. If she went with Yin Rui, she might get a chance to get close to Lu Tingxiao, but she would inevitably make use of his mother's dislike. She would naturally know when to stop and not do anything that might annoy Lu Tingxiao. Besides, Lu Tingxiao had a girlfriend now. If she was too attentive, it would not be good. It was enough for her to accompany Yin Rui. Yin Rui was even more satisfied when she saw that she was not in a hurry and acted appropriately. All right then, come to visit again some other time? Yes, Auntie, Guan Ziao replied politely. At the Platinum Gold Palace. In the dining room, Lu Jingli looked at the table full of dishes. His mouth watered, and his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Fuck, little Cece, are you crazy? You're really going to make a Manchu Han imperial feast. Ningxi put her hands on her hips and hummed happily. Can I? I'm in a good mood today. Of course. Lu Jingli happily picked up a piece of his favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. Looks like things are going well. Qin Shengyue already agreed. Not only did he agree, he's even willing to wear 3 sets. There won't be the same ones in the morning, afternoon, and evening. By the way, she also gave me a person. It's her subordinate. Before he could finish his sentence, Lu Jingli's familiar, loud voice of complaint was heard in the next second. Chapter 786. Ow, brother. You have to control your wife. That Qin guy sent your wife one by one. Ningxi kicked him. She's a woman. Oh, she gave your wife one woman, one woman, one woman. Ningxi couldn't take it anymore. She gave me the trump card of the marketing department to help me manage the market and sales. And she's a woman. Lu Jingli snorted. Is there a difference between a man and a woman to you? Ningxi glared at him, then picked up a piece of delicious braised pork and ran to Lu Tingxiao, who was working on documents in the living room. Ah, Lu Tingxiao glanced at her and opened his mouth. The braised pork melted in his mouth and was very flavorful. He didn't know how she cooked it, but it wasn't greasy at all. Lu Tingxiao had never had a taste for food. Ever since he ate her cooking, he began to understand why Lu Jingli loved food so much. After feeding him, Ningxi immediately whispered in Lu Tingxiao's ear, Mr. Boss, don't listen to his nonsense. There's no difference between a man and a woman to me, because for me, there are only 2 genders in this world. One is other, and the other is you. Lu Jingli bent over and pretended to vomit. Ugh, don't say such flowery words. My brother isn't that gullible. Lu Tingxiao. Okay. Lu Jingli, Lu Tingxiao said. Qin Shengyue transferred this person to you. You have to observe her carefully. The market isn't child's play. However, if she's really Qin Shengyue's trump card, then she's definitely capable. Give me a copy of her resume later. I'll take a look at it for you. Ningxi nodded. Okay, thank you, dear Lu Jingli. Why did he end up being forced to eat dog food? He still had to keep his stomach for good food. Fuck, Xiao Bao. Put down my glutinous rice ribs. Lu Jingli's heart felt as if it was being twisted by a knife when he realized that his favorite glutinous rice ribs had already been eaten by Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao blinked and ate another piece without the slightest hesitation. Ouch, my heart hurts. Just as Lu Jingli was about to defend his ribs with his life, a golden head popped in from the door. Jiang Mai had just finished a job and was about to go home. On the way, he was attracted by the aroma of food. Fuck, what are you doing? Do you want to bid farewell? It's not like it's the new year. Why are you making it so grand? Jiang Mai said as he took off the black mask on his face. Without using chopsticks, he directly picked up a salt and pepper prawn with his bare hands. He tasted it, and sure enough, it was made by Ningxi. Jiang Mai's eyes immediately lit up. Uncle, can I freeload off you? No. Lu Jingli was on the verge of breaking down. Why is there another one who snatches our food? These are mine. I earned them with my blood, sweat, and beauty. Huh? Beauty? That's not the point. The point is, are you sure you want to freeload? You'll be stuffed with dog food. Lu Jingli used his trump card. Jiang Mai glanced at the two people on the sofa and then sat down. At most, I'll close my eyes and eat. After so many days, he had calmed down a little. Some things couldn't be hidden forever. Lu Jingli, when it was time to eat, there was a lot of food on the dining table. Ningxi was originally worried that she had done too much, but when she saw Jiang Mai and Lu Jingli's attitude, she was not worried at all. Halfway through the meal, another person came from outside. Chapter 787. Lu Jingli swallowed a mouthful of food when he saw a graceful woman in a cheongsam standing beside Steward Yuan. Hey, Mom, why are you here? Grandma. Jiang Mai flew into the air and greeted her with a muffled voice. Mom. Lu Tingxiao greeted her and asked the servants to bring more bowls and chopsticks. Ningxi was peeling prawns for Xiaobao. She stood up when she saw them. Mrs. Lu. Yan Rui paused when she saw Ningxi. I'm here to bring you soup. What are you doing? Is it a special day? Why did you make so many dishes? Mu Yi is here too. Oh, nothing. I did my sister-in-law a favor, and she made me a few more dishes to thank me. Yan Rui wasn't happy to hear Lu Jingli call Ningxi sister-in-law, but she didn't lose her temper for Xiaobao's sake. She can cook? Try it. Lu Jingli picked up a piece of braised eggplant and gave it to Yan Rui. Yan Rui stuffed a mouthful of eggplant into her mouth. After a while, she frowned and said angrily, You brat, didn't you order this from the Red House? Lu Jingli's mouth twitched. Come on, Mom. I raised the eggplant myself. Xiaobao washed it. My brother cut it, and my sister-in-law cooked it. Oh, Jiang Mai didn't do anything. He's here to freeload. Yan Rui watched Xiaobao eat like a squirrel. His cheeks bulged, and he didn't even want to raise his head. Old people like to see their children eat, and Yan Rui was no exception. She couldn't bear to move her eyes. The little guy used to count the rice grains. Even though he changed, she had never seen him eat so happily. No wonder Xiaobao gained weight as soon as he was sent back. It seemed that this girl wasn't useless. At the very least, his culinary skills could not be trained without a few years of hard work. Although it was just eggplant, the simpler the dish, the more skills it required. She had tasted it and found it was as good as the one made by the chef in the Red Restaurant. Mom, do you want to eat with us? Lu Jingli asked. I've already eaten. You guys can eat. Yan Rui patted her grandson's head. Xiaobao, eat slowly. Don't choke. Seeing that Grandma kept staring at him while eating, Xiaobao thought that she also wanted to eat. So he looked at the prawn that Aunt Xiaoxi had peeled for him in the bowl. After a hard struggle, he picked it up with his small chopsticks and sent it to Yan Rui's mouth. Grandma eats. Yan Rui was overwhelmed by the favor and hurriedly opened his mouth to take it. Ah, thank you, my precious grandson. It's delicious. Grandma, what are you holding in your hand? Jiang Mai asked casually. Yan Rui's expression stiffened. Nothing much. The kitchen made some yam pork rib soup and I brought some for you. I don't think you can drink anymore. Just leave it here. Yan Rui looked at Xiaobao for a while and was fed a few mouthfuls of food by Xiaobao. Finally, she left contentedly. When she returned and told the old man that Xiaobao had fed her, he would definitely be jealous to death. Yan Rui was a little distracted on the way back. Tonight, Tingxiao, Jingli, Xiaobao, and Jiang Mai were all here. The whole family was eating happily at the table. It was really a family atmosphere. Xiaobao was like an ordinary happy child. It wasn't like how it used to be every time she came. It was always cold and cheerless, without the slightest hint of life. And all these changes seemed to be because of that woman, to be honest. If it wasn't for the incident with Xiaobao that caused her to have lingering fears, just based on how well she had taken care of Xiaobao, she would probably. Chapter 788. After Yan Rui left, Lu Jingli opened the lid of the pork rib soup. Although the chef in the old house was good, he was tired of it. He always felt that the food made by the chefs in the big restaurants tasted the same. But the chef there was good at making soup. Lu Jingli was about to have a taste when he spat it out. Damn it! It tastes bad? Are you kidding me? Are you sure it was made by the chef in the old house? Ningxi also took a sip. It's okay. It's not that good, but it's okay. You're too picky. Lu Tingxiao looked at the soup quietly and didn't say anything. Lu Jingli seemed to have thought of something as the corner of his mouth twitched. I bet that Guan Ziao made this soup. Otherwise, how could my mom send it over personally? I guess she wanted to show off. But it was ruined by Brother Shi's Manchu Han Imperial Feast. Ha 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 ha. After dinner, Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai didn't hurry to leave. They sat on the sofa and watched TV. Because he was too full, he couldn't walk. Ningxi played Sudoku with Xiaobao for a while. Then she looked at the time and said to Lu Tingxiao, "Boss, we're running out of time. I'm going to watch a movie." Lu Tingxiao nodded. "Okay, be careful. It's cold at night. Put on your scarf." Jiang Mai felt something was wrong. Watch a movie? What movie? Why didn't she and Lu Tingxiao go together? Ningxi was speechless. Jiang Mai, you're so unreliable. Don't you know your movie is going to be released today? Jiang Mai raised his eyebrows. Oh, you mean the world? So be it. He's just a supporting actor. I don't want to talk to you. I'm leaving. Ningxi kissed Xiaobao and put on her mask and sunglasses. Jiang Mai stood up and stopped her. Hey, wait. Forget it. I'll go with you. This is the first time I've played a supporting role since I started my career. He said, but won't my uncle go with you? Jiang Mai asked casually. Hearing that, Ningxi flew over and stamped on Jiang Mai's foot like a cat whose hair stood on end. Why are you so talkative? He's not going. He's in trouble. Sir boss, I'm leaving bye-bye Yue. After saying that, she blew a kiss to Lu Tingxiao and quickly ran out with Jiang Mai. Why did you step on my foot? Jiang Mai, who was dragged all the way, hissed in dissatisfaction. I almost died because of you. Ningxi glared at him fiercely. What did I do? Jiang Mai suddenly realized something. Don't tell me it's because we are a couple in this movie? What do you think? Be careful, or your uncle will ban you if he sees it. What if you act with other male actors in the future? How can he ban them one by one? Why not? All right. He really could. Jiang Mai looked at her with a complicated expression. To be honest, I'm quite surprised. I didn't expect that my uncle would still let you stay in the entertainment industry after you confirmed your relationship. What else? Keeping a mistress in a golden house? Ningxi said proudly. How could the man I chose be wrong? That's enough. In the evening, Ningxi had an appointment with Gong Shangze and Han Momo. When they arrived at the cinema, they were already there. The three of them entered the cinema and sat in the corner of the last row. Han Momo had been curious when she saw the person next to Ningxi. After sitting down, she couldn't help but ask, Sister Shi, who's that next to you? Before Ningxi could answer, Jiang Mai, who sat next to Ningxi, took off his mask and looked at Han Momo. Are you asking me? Chapter 789. Ningxi glared at Jiang Mai and covered Han Momo's mouth before she could make a sound. Calm down. Ningxi felt that Han Momo was so excited that she was about to suffocate. She lowered her voice and said, Jiang Mai, was it really Jiang Mai? Oh my god. Sister Shi, are you really a couple with Jiang Mai in private? I'm a fan of your CP. I think the two of you are super compatible. Be together. Jiang Mai rested his elbow on the armrest and supported his head with his hand. He was in a good mood. Tisk, it's rare to have such a girl with good taste. Do you have a pin? No. What should I do? I'll go buy one. Han Momo was anxious. I do. Gong Shangze had a pen and paper with him. Therefore, Jiang Mai took the pen and paper and signed his name on it. Han Momo was so excited that she almost fainted. Then she gave the paper to Ningxi. Sister Shi, I want yours too. Ningxi could only sign one for her speechlessly. Then, she saw Han Momo put a big heart on her and Jiang Mai's names after she signed the contract. She had never expected that there would be a fanatic fan of her and Jiang Mai. It was simply amazing. By the way, Shangze, who's your favorite star? Me? I don't think I have a favorite star. Sister Shi, do you count? Ha ha ha, of course. The movie was about to start in a few minutes. The hall where Ningxi and the others were in was almost full. After all, The two main characters of this movie were A-list stars. Moreover, Jiang Mai was a big guarantee of the box office. Even if he only played a supporting role, his fans had already posted hundreds of tickets online. Ningxi was probably the only new star in the movie. Finally, the advertisement on the big screen ended and the movie began. Ningxi took a deep breath. Phew, I'm so nervous. After all, it was the first day of her first movie. Although Under the Heavens wasn't weak in terms of investment or cast, Su Yimou's Sea of Stars, a famous comedy director's Happy Things, and a Hollywood blockbuster were screening on the same day. It could be said that the competition was fierce. The first scene of the movie was the scene where Shangguan Ingrong, played by Ning Shuelua, was being chased. The plot was tense and exciting. In an instant, the audience was brought into the plot. Many of Ning Shuelua's fans screamed excitedly in low voices. For a long time, the main theme was the two main characters. Shangguan Ingrong saved the male lead by accident, forced into the palace to avoid being chased, and fought with the male lead. In reality, this could be considered a movie with a female lead. In the movie, the character of Shangguan Ingrong stood out and attracted fans easily. She had a tragic background, but she was as resourceful as a female Zhuge. In the end, because of her identity, she could not become the male lead's empress. Instead, she became the most powerful female prime minister in the Qing kingdom. The female lead was so awesome, so of course, she needed someone to serve as a foil. Ning Shi, the vicious supporting female character, was undoubtedly used to serve as a foil for Ning Shuelua. In the end, Han Momo almost wanted to scold Ning Shi for acting like a demon concubine. Sister Shi, you're so good at acting. She was really good at making people hate her. Chapter 790. Ning Shi chuckled. Hearing the curses about Meng Chang'e, she was quite happy. Thank you for your compliment. However, as the plot progressed, Meng Chang'e's memories began to appear in the screen. As Meng Chang'e's identity was revealed step by step, the audience's attitude changed subtly. "Ah, Jiang Mai is so handsome." Meng Chang'e's men's clothing is also a surprise. I thought that with her looks, she would definitely look stunning in men's clothes. I didn't expect Jiang Mai to play such a delicate and scholarly role. I really want to push him down. While they were talking, Meng Chang'e really tied Jiang Mai up and pushed him down in her room. "Hey, Dr. Sun, you're blushing. Actually, you like me too, don't you? Why don't we just do what's done?" The cinema was filled with screams and laughter. Oh my God. Oh, this is Mu Ye's bondage in this film. I've been waiting for so long. It was Jiang Mai's first time watching this scene as an audience member. He couldn't help but touch his nose, feeling a little restless. Ningxi was very happy. "Oh my, I'm so good at playing a hooligan. Don't you think so, golden hair?" "Bullshit. Do you even need to act? You're a hooligan." After this scene, the audience's reaction to Ning Shi and Jiang Mai's first kiss at the Lantern Festival seemed to be more intense than they had expected. The screams almost broke through the roof. "Oh my God, I'm falling in love with this couple. How can they be so cute? Oh my girl's heart. It's melted." To be honest, I've always felt that Jiang Mai had played so many bossy presidents and affectionate male leads, but none of them were sincere. I couldn't see how much he loved the female lead. But in this movie, I really saw love in his eyes. And it's the kind of deep, suppressed, and buried deep in his heart. He wants it but doesn't dare to want it. Hearing the comments around her saying that she and Jiang Mai were a good match, Ningxi was very glad that the devil was not here. Otherwise, the consequences, she might really be taken off the shelves. Jiang Mai's face darkened. "Bullshit. How am I not paying attention? I have always been paying attention, okay? Also, what do you mean by repressed, deeply hidden, and buried in the depths of one's heart? A strong love that you want but don't dare to want? Did these people's eyes have to be so poisonous?" Ningxi patted him on the shoulder. "Don't struggle anymore. The audience's eyes are sharp. You've improved a lot with this show. The visual effects are much better. I can feel your love for me." Jiang Mai, hearing Ningxi's serious analysis, Jiang Mai didn't know whether he should be relieved or disappointed. In the whole play, The scene with the biggest reaction was probably the scene between Ning Shi and Guan Xiaoqi. When Ning Shi told concubine Xian, played by Guan Xiaoqi, that her real identity was Ming Chang'e, a memory came into her mind. This memory was the scene where Jiang Mai's heart was pierced by thousands of arrows in front of Ning Shi. There was dead silence. After a while, there was intermittent, suppressed crying. Ning Shi roughly observed the scene and found that 90% of the audience were crying, including the men. Han Momo, who was beside her, almost fainted from crying. Oh, so cruel. Can the military doctor not die? He will come back to life in the future, right? Jiang Mai was in a bad mood, so he said ruthlessly, "No, he's dead." As soon as he finished speaking, Han Momo let out a cry and was about to stop breathing. Ning Shi comforted Han Momo and glared at Jiang Mai. Chapter 791. The 2-hour movie finally came to an end, but the audience still wanted more. Although they didn't know what the box office would be like, Ning Shi felt much more at ease after experiencing the audience's feedback and attitude. No matter what the box office was like, she had reached the level she wanted to bring to the audience. When they came out, they saw reporters interviewing random people outside the theater. "Hello, Mississippi. Have you just finished watching The World?" "Yes. What do you think of the movie?" "It's great. It's even better than I imagined. Especially Shangguan Rong, who plays the role of Shui Luo. She's so powerful. She's my goddess. And the scene with Zhao Xizhou is so lovely. I cried when she and Chu Beichen couldn't be together in the end." "Sir, whose performance in The World do you think left the deepest impression on you?" "It must be the female lead. She's really charming. By the way, will you be on TV?" "Yes." "That's great. I want to tell my goddess that I love you." Shui Luo. Looking at the interview, Jiang Mai's handsome face was full of disdain. "Damn, do you think we're all idiots?" Su Yan booked the theater for Ning Shui Luo's fans for free. They're all Ning Shui Luo's die-hard fans. Of course, they're all praising Ning Shui Luo. Gong Shangze glanced at Ning Shi. He was very confident in his boss. The audience has eyes. Word of mouth can't be faked. Speaking of Su Yan, I saw some gossip on the internet saying that Su Yan booked theaters for Ning Shui Luo's fans in every city to support her new movie. They're so in love. They're a clean stream in the entertainment industry, aren't they? Han Momo looked a little envious. Jiang Mai glanced at her. "Huh, clean stream? Little girl, don't believe what you see on the surface so easily." After saying that, Jiang Mai looked at Ning Shi worriedly. Fortunately, Ning Shi's expression was very calm, without any abnormality. It seemed that she had completely let go of Su Yan, but it was no wonder. It was said that people couldn't forget their old love, but it was because their new love wasn't good enough. She and his uncle loved each other so much, so why would she care about Su Yan? "Shangze, how are the 3 sets of clothes for Qin Shengyue coming along?" Ning Shi asked on the way back. "I've already prepared them. One of them is the Nirvana-themed red gown from the Golden Apex Awards. The other 2 are my latest works," Gong Shangze said confidently. It seemed like his inspiration creation had been going well recently. "All right, I'll bring it to Qin Shengyue tomorrow. By the way, Miss Qin promised to transfer a sales professional to us. He should be coming over soon. You two should prepare to welcome the new member." "It's true. Great." Han Momo was excited. Gong Shangze also heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at Ning Shi with an expression full of reverence. Every time he felt that he had reached a dead end, she would always be able to find a way out and complete what he thought was absolutely impossible. At the side, Jiang Mai looked at Ning Shi's fighting spirit and suddenly remembered what Ning Shi said on the plane one day. She said that she wanted to keep Lu Tingxiao. Wasn't she just joking? Chapter 792. A week later, the Hua International Fashion Week, the most anticipated event in the Chinese fashion industry, officially kicked off in the capital. As a professional release platform for the top domestic fashion and ready-to-wear products, Fashion Week had become the main battlefield for well-known brands and designers to promote their image, show their creativity, and spread the fashion. It was no easy task to stand out among so many brands. Many brands had started preparing for it half a year in advance. Ningxi's studio had just been established, so she couldn't compare to those established brands. In the end, she managed to produce this season's new products the day before the launch. At that moment, Gong Shangze was obviously nervous in the corner of the stage. Ningxi had spent a lot of effort to get Qin Shangyue to be a model. If his work didn't achieve the desired effect, not only would the studio's reputation be damaged, but Qin Shangyue's reputation would also be affected. Ningxi's efforts would all be in vain. Ningxi patted him on the shoulder and encouraged him. Honey, don't be nervous. Have some confidence in yourself, okay? Your work is really good. Even Qin Shangyue praised you. Han Momo chimed in. Gold will definitely shine. Gong Shangze looked at them gratefully. Thank you. With a burst of traditional Peking opera music, the opening ceremony officially began. The background of the stage was made into an antique vermilion gate with green copper rings. When the gate was opened, the majestic palace walls were revealed. Models in luxurious palace dresses and cheongsams walked out from behind the scenes. The logo of history was displayed on the big screen. There was an uproar when the audience saw the logo. The clothing brand for this opening ceremony is from history. It's only been a year since the brand was established, right? It's unbelievable. That's why I said that the designer is the soul of a brand. Dai Wei is indeed a once-in-a-century genius. His work is so smart. But I heard that a dark horse appeared at the Golden Top Awards and defeated Dai Wei. That anonymous designer at the Golden Summit Awards is indeed very talented, but his style is too similar to history's. The chance of him winning the award is also very high. Who can guarantee that he will always beat Dai Wei? I think the final result is either being squeezed out of the market or being acquired by history. Didn't you see that he has disappeared recently? At the end of the show, the international model Angie appeared in the finale of history. Thunderous applause erupted from below the stage after it ended. Everyone congratulated Ning Xueluo and Dai Wei. This costume show is amazing. No wonder the organizers chose history as the opening. Thank you, everyone. At this moment, Ning Xueluo was wearing a neat little suit. She had transformed from a glamorous superstar to the elite image of a company's CEO. She responded to everyone's compliments gracefully. Ning Xueluo had been very happy lately. Under the Heavens, which had just been released not long ago, set a record of 1.5 billion yuan at the box office on the first day of its release. It was second only to the Hollywood blockbuster that was released at the same time and the comedy genius Fong's Happy Things, becoming the biggest dark horse of the current period. After that, the box office sales rose day by day due to the high reputation and the netizens' recommendations. After a week, the box office sales ended perfectly with 12.3 billion yuan. All of a sudden, Ning Xueluo, the female lead, became extremely popular. She even became the most popular candidate for the next Best Actress award. It could be said that it was a double harvest in the entertainment and fashion circles. Chapter 793. This Ning Xueluo is indeed capable. Other celebrities in the entertainment industry can only do small things with their own brands. They might even suffer losses, but she's doing well. Of course not. She's a real rich girl, and she has a CEO boyfriend who has been supporting her silently. It's impossible for her not to succeed, right? Oh yeah, I wonder which brand Qin Shangyue will be wearing this time? It's not history? Doesn't she always like to promote newcomers? What's so strange about that? It must be some international brand. Ning Xueluo frowned as she listened to the discussions around her. It's a pity that we didn't manage to invite Qin Shangyue originally. It could have been more perfect this time, but something unexpected happened. For some reason, Qin Shangyue had refused to walk the runway for them. Dai Wei chimed in, Angie's great too. She's an international supermodel now, and her influence isn't any lower than Qin Shangyue's. Ning Xueluo glanced at him but didn't say anything. Although Qin Shangyue had retired, she was the first Chinese person to walk on the international stage. She was the darling of many international brands, and her status in the fashion industry was like a wind vane. She had also opened a clothing company, so how could a newborn calf like Angie compare to her? However, they knew that it would be difficult to invite Qin Shengyue, so this result was within their expectations. On the stage, the other brands continued to walk the runway. After a few well-known brands, the screen turned and a line of words appeared, Zailing ZX. Ah, Zailing. Isn't that the brand of the designer who won the Golden Apex Award? I thought it was just a flash in the pan, and they wouldn't be participating in this fashion show. After all, if they're not careful, they'll lose to history. If they fail this time, they'll lose the Golden Apex Award. TSK, they're brave enough to come. Everyone was paying attention to the designer who had broken the record for the highest score at the Golden Apex Award. Therefore, they couldn't help but stare at her. The higher the expectations, the harsher it would be. Zailing was indeed in a difficult situation this time. The models walked onto the runway one after another. When the first set of clothes appeared, the audience suddenly quieted down. Moments later, they were filled with exclamations. The two themes Zailing showed this time were peach blossoms in a mountain temple and stars in midsummer, which were as beautiful as a dream. Unlike the Nirvana Rebirth theme of the Golden Apex Awards, these two sets of clothes were like Cupid's arrows that made the hearts of young girls palpitate. Below the stage, Ning Xuelua's reaction was calm. Dai Wei was also calm. Although there was a hint of jealousy in his eyes, he clearly did not see them as competitors anymore. So what if the design was good? In this industry, design wasn't the only thing that mattered. They had even won the Golden Apex Award last time, but what could they do? Old customers would still only believe in their brand, and would not easily believe in a short-lived brand that could fall off the altar in the next second to lower their value. After all, they were targeting high-end customers. To them, clothing was no different from their face, so they had to be very careful. What they needed to do now was to wait until Zailing ran into a wall and had nowhere else to go. Then, they could buy it at a low price, or even directly wipe out the brand and poach the designer for their own use. However, in the next second, Ning Xuelua and Dai Wei, who were initially confident, widened their eyes. Chapter 794. Apart from that, all the industry guests and celebrities were also shocked. No one expected that the model wearing Zailing's Midsummer Starry Nights finale would be Qin Shengyue. The dark blue background was inlaid with sparkling diamonds, and the V-neck design was like the Milky Way. The entire outfit was like the vast starry night in the middle of the night, dreamy and fantastical. This was crazy. What was going on? Why was Qin Shengyue the finale model for Zailing? Didn't she praise Dai Wei many times in public? Now she was wearing the outfit of designer ZX, who had defeated Dai Wei last time, on such an important occasion. Was this a public declaration that she thought the mysterious designer was better than Dai Wei? All the guests, designers, and even the reporters couldn't wait to find out. Finally, the morning show ended. Below the stage, the reporters were already looking forward to it. After waiting for a long time, Qin Shengyue finally appeared backstage and changed into a new outfit. What she was wearing was a fiery red classic Chinese embroidered dress. The wide skirt had been burnt to the knee by the flames, revealing a pair of smooth, slender, and incomparably beautiful legs. Anyone with a discerning eye could immediately recognize that this was a set from the Golden Summit Award winner, ZX's work, Nirvana. Miss Qin, is this Zailing outfit you're wearing? Yes. Miss Qin, may I ask why you love Zailing so much? Qin Shengyue caressed the hem of her dress and asked matter-of-factly, is there a need to ask? In that second, Qin Shengyue's temperament and aura blended perfectly with the outfit. It was stunning. Qin Shengyue's personality, temperament, and figure were all perfect for this outfit. Yes, there's no need. Zailing is too beautiful and lively. It's worthy of its name. Then, Miss Qin, what do you think of history? How do you compare Zailing to history? You seem to admire history. Why did you suddenly change your mind to Zailing? Is there any inside story behind this? The reporter asked meaningfully. Everyone's eyes were focused on Qin Shengyue at that moment, including Ning Shi, who was below the stage. She was so afraid that Miss Qin would suddenly say something like, "Nothing, I'm happy." Fortunately, Qin Shengyue was quite reliable at critical moments. She replied calmly, "Dai Wei is the most talented designer I've ever seen. I've always admired him, but his designs seem to exist in a perfect world where time has stopped. They're beautiful, but they're unchanging. On the other hand, Zhe Ling has allowed me to see growth and transformation, as well as limitless possibilities in the future." Qin Shengyue had a very high status in the industry, and her evaluation was very authoritative. This sentence was a direct affirmation of Zhe Ling's ability, and it pushed Zhe Ling, whose status was still uncertain, into the fashion circle. It was like a plaque bestowed by the emperor. Not far away, Ning Xuelua was about to lose control of her emotions as she watched the situation unfold. How did this happen? If it were some other big shot, then so be it. How could it be Zhe Ling? Qin Shengyue rejected our clothes last time. Is there something wrong with your design? Chapter 795. Dai Wei hurriedly denied. That's impossible. That set of clothes was the finale of our Milan Fashion Week exhibition. Ning Xuelua could not hold it in anymore. She said sternly, "No wonder Qin Shengyue said that you're still the same. Don't you have any other designs?" But I only chose that one to be safe. Although Dai Wei said that, he was actually starting to panic. If it could be said that it was a coincidence last time, then this time, after seeing Zhe Ling's other designs, his already guilty conscience and fear deepened. After all, everything he had now was stolen. No matter how much glory and praise he had during the day, he would be afraid that it would all disappear at night. Most importantly, he was running out of design drafts. Although he had secretly recruited a large group of people to imitate Gong Shang's style, no matter how perfect the imitation was, it was still not the original. No, he had to find out who exactly this CX was. The more he looked at that person's work, the more afraid he became. He even had the illusion that it was Gong Shang's design. However, how was that possible? Gong Shangza would never be able to make a comeback. Moreover, his design could not reach such a high level and realm. At night, after the event ended, Dai Wei was in a bad mood. He left Ning Xuelua alone. Just as he was about to get into the car, he inadvertently glanced at the opposite side of the road and saw the face that appeared in his nightmares every night. Gong Shangza. Dai Wei was scared out of his wits. Just as he was about to investigate, that person had already gotten into the car and quickly disappeared from his sight. Dai Wei only calmed down after the car left. He must have been too nervous. He must have. That person's hairstyle was so fashionable. How could it be that slovenly madman, Gong Shangza? In the car that had just left, Ningxi glanced at the rearview mirror. That person was Dai Wei, right? Did he recognize you? Gong Shangza obviously saw it too. He smiled bitterly when he heard that. I don't think so. After all, I can't even recognize myself with my current appearance. Ningxi nodded. That's true. Han Momo looked curious. What did Director Gong look like before? It's best if you don't know about it. You'll be disillusioned. While he was talking to the two of them, his phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. Ningxi answered suspiciously, "Hello? Miss?" As soon as the call was connected, an extremely excited voice came from the other end of the phone. Ningxi hesitated. Are you Nanny Wu? Only the old servant of Grandpa would call her like this. Yes, it's me. Miss, come to the hospital quickly. Old Master is in the hospital. Mother Wu sounded extremely sad. What did you say? With a shrill squeak, Ningxi stopped the car by the roadside and asked with a pale face, "What happened to Grandpa?" Master suddenly fainted at home, and the doctor said that he might not make it this time. I saw that first young master and second young master didn't inform you, so they made the call on their own. The person that master wants to see the most must be you. Mother Wu's tone actually implied that she wanted to see him for the last time. How could this be? Which hospital? I'll be right there. Chapter 796. Sorry, My grandpa is sick. I have to go to the hospital immediately. I may not be able to send you. It's okay. Sister Shi, go ahead. Grandpa is important. We can just take a taxi ourselves. Okay. Be careful on the way. Boss, don't be in such a hurry. Drive slowly. Okay. I got it. After saying goodbye to Gong Shangza and Han Momo, Ning Shi immediately rushed to the hospital address that Mother Wu told her. At the same time, she called Mother Wu to ask about the situation. Mother Wu, what's going on? I called Grandpa a few days ago. Isn't he in good health? Mother Wu heaved a long sigh on the other end of the phone. Alas, the old master was comforting you. You know the situation at home. The eldest young master is only thinking about his adopted daughter. The second young master's two illegitimate daughters are making trouble all day long. The old master has been waiting for so many years, but he hasn't seen a great-grandson to inherit his bloodline. As he gets older, his heart is inevitably getting heavier. Actually, the one that old master is most worried about is you. Miss Exine still has her mother to protect her, but what about you, miss? What he was afraid of was that after he left, she would be alone with no one to rely on. He has always wanted to matchmake you with the young master of the Shi family. He also wanted you to have someone to rely on in the future. Ning Shi listened to these words quietly. She couldn't tell what she was feeling. When Ning Shi arrived, Ning Yaohua, Zhuang Lingyu, Ning Shuelua, Ning Yaobang, Ning Tianxin, and Su Yin were already there. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu looked solemn. Ning Shuelua's eyes were swollen from crying, and she was leaning weakly in Su Yan's arms. Ning Yaobang's face didn't show any sadness at all. He stared at Ning Yaohua and said disdainfully, "Stop pretending. All of you can't wait for the old master to die. Once the old master dies, the Ning family will be yours." Shut up. Is this what a human should say? Dad is already like this, and you're still talking about this. Ning Yaohua scolded angrily. What's wrong with me? Didn't I tell you what's in your heart? Are you angry now? Do you dare to say that's not what you think? While the two sides were quarreling, a rush of footsteps came from the end of the corridor. Then they saw Ning Shi rushing over. Yo, another one to fight for the family property. Ning Yaobang snorted coldly. Ning Shuelua's eyes flashed with a hint of vigilance when she saw Ning Shi. Now the biggest obstacle for her to get the Ning family was the stubborn old man. As long as the old man was gone, Ning Yaohua would be in power. Without the old man's preference for Ning Shi, Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu would definitely stand on her side. Then the Ning family would be in her hands. As for the second branch, Ning Yaobang, that useless fool, and Ning Tianxin, who had a weak temperament, were nothing to be afraid of. The old master would never hand over the company to these kinds of people. Ning Ningyu, Ning Ning Yun's wife. To Ning, Ning, Ning Ning, 2, Xian, 2, and 2. The Ning, and Ning, it to Yun, I to say Ning Ning I Yun I, Su. Given the old master's character, he would probably give her a part of the shares to make sure she didn't have to worry about food and clothing. Although she didn't want to let her take these shares for free, it was not bad to let her take charge of the company as a small shareholder. Chapter 797. What are you doing here? Ning Yaohua pulled a long face as soon as he saw Ning Shi. Obviously, he was afraid that she would ruin things at this critical moment. Sister, you're here. Come and see Grandpa. You don't come home often. Grandpa misses you so much. You must be the one he wants to see most. Ning Shuelua said while crying. What she said, she meant that she didn't see Ning Shuelua often and came here when he was dying. What are you looking at? Why are you pretending to be filial at this time? Zhuang Lingyu said grumpily. Ning Shi was focused on Grandpa Ning and didn't want to talk to these people. She lay on the transparent glass of the ICU ward and quietly looked at the old man in the ward. She knew that Auntie Wu was right. Grandpa was worried about her the most. Ning Tianxin walked over and patted her on the shoulder to comfort her. Her face was full of guilt. How is Grandpa? Ning Shi asked. Ning Tianxin looked sad. He's stabilized for now, but the doctor said, Grandpa's health is not good. I'm afraid. He won't survive this winter. Cici, don't be too sad. At his age, this day will come. Su Yan comforted her and handed her a tissue. Su Yan's words made Ning Shi feel uncomfortable. Grandpa was not dead yet, but he said it as if Grandpa was going to die this time. At this time, in the ward, Grandpa Ning suddenly opened his eyes slowly. Looking at Ning Shi outside the window, he struggled to speak. The nurse took off the respirator, leaned close to Grandpa Ning and listened for a while. Then she opened the door and came out, asking, "The patient said he wants to see a miss named Cici. Who is her?" For a moment, everyone looked at Ning Shi with complicated gazes. "I am," Ning Shi said hurriedly. "Come in with me." "But the patient is still very weak. Don't talk to him for too long." The nurse said, "Okay, I see. Thank you." Seeing Ning Shi go in, Ning Shuelua was full of jealousy. She tried so hard to please this old man, but he didn't care about her at all. Of course, the expression on her face was one of sadness and disappointment. Su Yin comforted her. "Cici is not at home all year round. Grandpa will inevitably miss her." Ning Shuelua nodded forcefully. "I understand." Ning Yahua had no time to care about Ning Shuelua at this moment. He was thinking about what the old man would tell Ning Shi. Unfortunately, the soundproofing effect of the ward was so good that no one outside could hear anything. In the ward, Ning Shi hurriedly held Grandpa Ning's hand. "Grandpa." Grandpa Sheng trembled as he looked at her. "You're here." Looking at the old man's weak and haggard face, Ning Shi's heart twitched. "Grandpa, I'm sorry. Silly child. Why are you apologizing out of nowhere?" Grandpa Ji stroked her hair and took a few deep breaths. Fearing that he might be exhausted, he said directly to her, "Cici, I've always hoped to wait until the day you take over the company. In this way, I can help you clear the obstacles and stabilize your position while I'm still here. But now, I'm afraid I don't have time. I know you have your own career and your own life now. You're angry and don't want to come back. Fine. I won't force you. Grandfather left you 10% of the shares in his will. That's enough for you to live the rest of your life without any worries. I didn't dare to give you too much, because an ordinary man is innocent, but treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. It'll bring you trouble." Chapter 798. Grandpa, don't say anymore. You will be fine. Alas, you don't have to comfort me. I know my health condition. I wanted to wait for a few more years, at least until you get married. Cough, cough, cough. Grandpa, don't talk. Have a rest. Ning Shi said hurriedly. If there was a glimmer of hope, they could wait, but Grandpa obviously knew that there was no hope at all even if they waited any longer. He didn't dare to trust Hongli's family, and Hongli's attitude was so firm that it was impossible for her to return to the Ning family and enter the company. Because of the nature of her work, it was impossible for her to get married and have children. Humans only had one breath left in them. Once this breath was gone, it was inevitable that the body would quickly collapse. Walking out of the ward, Ning Shi looked very serious. "What did your grandpa say to you?" Ning Yaohua asked immediately when he saw her coming out. "Nothing much," Ning Shi said casually, then walked past everyone and left. Ning Yaohua stomped his feet in anger behind her. What an attitude! Seeing that the property and the company would fall into the hands of Hongli's family, Ning Yaobang became anxious and pulled Ning Tianxin aside in a low voice. "Tianxin, look at Ning Shi. She only comes back a few times a year, but Grandpa still misses her so much. You are Grandpa's granddaughter. Can't you help me? If you don't fight for it, you won't get anything in the end." Ning Tianxin gave him a cold look. "I wish you won't get anything. I'd like to see if those women will still love you when you have nothing. No matter what Uncle has done, he has never had a woman outside these years. But what about you? Are you still a man? You know nothing. Do you know what Zhuang Lingyu's real identity is? He wants to, but he doesn't dare. He won't dare even if I lend him 100 times the courage." In the Ning family's villa, after returning home, Ning Yahua said seriously, "Lingyu, I have something to discuss with you." "What is it?" "About that girl?" Zhuang Lingyu frowned. Ning Yaohua nodded and said hesitantly, "How about we persuade Xiaoxi to come back? In the will of the old man, he will definitely give her a portion of the shares. If she is roped in by someone else, it will inevitably affect me. Moreover, Shueluo is after all not my biological daughter. In the future, I still need to leave a trace of bloodline." When Zhuang Lingyu heard this, her expression immediately changed. "What do you mean? Shueluo wholeheartedly treats us as her biological parents. Are you doing her justice by saying these words? Was bloodline really that important? Let me tell you, bloodline has no meaning to me. In my heart, only Shueluo is my only daughter. Have you forgotten all the shameful things that girl has done? If you want to humiliate yourself, don't drag me down with you. If she causes any trouble in the future, it has nothing to do with me." Ning Yaohua comforted her helplessly. All right, I just mentioned it casually because I had no other choice. Why are you so agitated? Besides, I only asked her to come back as an adopted daughter. I didn't say anything about revealing her identity. Don't have any ideas about the shares that the old man gave her. I don't care about her things. You can directly buy them from her. That money is enough for her to use for the rest of her life. Although I didn't raise her, at least I gave birth to her. I don't owe her anything. I've already been very kind to her. Chapter 799. Zhuang Lingyu said as she looked at Ning Yaohua coldly. If you care so much about your bloodline, you can be like uncle and find a young girl to give birth to. Ning Yaohua panicked when he heard that. He quickly comforted her. Hey, what nonsense are you talking about? Why would I do such a thing? Don't you know how I feel about you? While they were talking in low voices, Ning Shualua came out of the kitchen with a bowl of soup. Dad, Mom, I was afraid that you would be anxious, so I made some white fungus and lotus seed soup. Drink it before you sleep. You'll feel better. Grandpa is in the hospital now. You must take care of yourself. Zhuang Lingyu quickly took the soup, her face full of love. Hey, good girl. You're the one who's tired today. You were busy with Fashion Week during the day, and you were called to the hospital right after. You haven't had a moment to rest. Go to bed early. Leave these things to the servants. Mom, it's okay. I'm not tired. Zhuang Lingyu looked at the perfect daughter that she had raised and sighed. Shuelua, the old man probably won't make it this time. When the time comes, you'll definitely have to enter the company. I'm afraid you'll be even busier and more tired. She then gave Ning Yaohua a warning look, signaling him to get rid of those thoughts that he shouldn't have. Ning Yaohua could only keep quiet. After all, his position was not stable, and he still had to rely on Zhuang Lingyu and the Su family. Ning Shuelua hid the joy in her eyes and said hurriedly, Mom, I'm young now. It's time for me to work hard. This little bit of hardship and tiredness is nothing to me. Besides, I'll be happy as long as I can help Mom and Dad. Zhuang Lingyu patted her hand and comforted her. Mom knows you're the best. Don't worry. You'll always be Mom's daughter. You deserve all this. As long as I'm here, no one can look down on you. Ning Yaohua coughed lightly. Dad is the same. Ning Shuelua looked down and sobbed. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Ever since I found out who I was, I've been living in fear. I feel like my world is about to collapse. I really don't know what I did wrong. Overnight, my home isn't my home anymore. My beloved parents aren't my parents anymore. Zhuang Lingyu felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. How could that be? Dad is still your dad, and Mom is still your mom. Nothing will change. Ning Yaohua was also moved. You were raised by Mom and Dad. Even if you're not our biological daughter, it doesn't matter. In our hearts, you're already our biological daughter. There are so many unfilial sons out there. They are your own children, but none of them can compare to you. You are Mom and Dad's pride. You are our Ning family's lucky star. Have you forgotten? You're not allowed to have those messy ideas in the future. Late at night, at the Platinum Palace, Ningxi was going to go back to her apartment, but she didn't expect to drive here unknowingly. It's so late, I wonder if Lu Tingxiao is asleep. Ningxi was hesitating outside the door when the door suddenly opened on its own. Lu Tingxiao was standing at the door in his pajamas. Ning! Before he could finish his sentence, she had already thrown herself into his arms. What happened? Lu Tingxiao frowned and asked immediately. She finally let go of her suppressed weakness the moment she saw him. Her voice was hoarse as she said, "Grandpa is sick. It's very serious. The doctor said he might not make it this time." Chapter 800. Don't worry. Come in. Lu Tingxiao hurriedly brought her in, helped her sit down on the sofa, and poured her a glass of warm milk. Holding the glass of milk, she stared blankly for quite a while before she finally made up her mind and said, "My grandpa is most worried about me. Lu Tingxiao, I want to find or rent a man to pretend to be my boyfriend and bring him to meet my grandpa to reassure him." "Why don't you bring me?" Lu Tingxiao asked. Bring you?" She was stunned. Lu Tingxiao's face darkened. She had never thought of him? She hurriedly said, "A him. I mean, if I bring you there, I don't think it will reassure Grandpa. Instead, it will frighten him. He won't believe you if you bring someone else there. You can only bring me there." Lu Tingxiao said firmly. "Well, is that so? If you don't bring me, who do you want to bring?" Lu Tingxiao looked at her and asked. She glanced at him timidly. "Do you want to tell me the truth?"
Yes.
She scratched her head. "Actually, I was going to ask Shi Shirqing for help. He's a suitable man and Grandpa likes him." So in conclusion, before she finished, she sensed danger and hurriedly took Lu Tingxiao's arm. "Hey, I think Grandpa will like you more. Let's go. I'll take you there tomorrow." Lu Tingxiao glanced at her. He knew she was worried. Given his identity, Grandpa Ji would find it hard to believe that he was sincere. He might even refuse to accept him. "I'll take care of your worries." Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl and promised. "It's a pity that I can take my boyfriend there immediately, but I can't satisfy his wish of having a great-grandson." She muttered with a sad face, "Even if I start now, it's too late." As She spoke, she suddenly thought of something and got up excitedly. "Lu Tingxiao, can I borrow Xiaobao for a while?" "No need." "Huh? What do you mean? You don't want to lend it to me?" "There's no need to borrow it. It's yours to begin with." She was moved to tears. "I don't know if I did the right thing, but I know. If I don't do anything, I will regret it." She couldn't let her grandfather leave with regrets and uneasiness. Thus, the next morning, She took Lu Tingxiao and Little Bun to the hospital. Lu Tingxiao should have already made the necessary arrangements. The ward was quiet, and there was no one around. A doctor personally led them up the stairs. "Doctor, how is my grandfather's condition? Are you feeling better today?" She asked anxiously. The doctor shook his head with a grave expression. "It's terrible. He's been feeling groggy. If the situation continues to worsen, I'm afraid he'll die in 2 days." "What?" Ningxi's expression suddenly changed. Originally, he was still hesitating whether he should use Xiaobao to deceive his grandfather, but at this moment, he could no longer care so much. Ningxi took a deep breath and opened the door of the ward. "Grandpa, I'm here to see you." On the sickbed, Grandpa looked even worse than yesterday. After hearing Ningxi's voice, he only raised his eyes slightly. "Cici." Chapter 801. "Grandpa, it's me." She stepped forward. "I'm sorry, Grandpa. Actually, I have something to hide from you. I've met someone I like and we're already together. But because of my work, I can't make it public, so I haven't told anyone. Today, I specially brought him here for you to see." The old man was too weak to open his eyes. After a long while, he slowly asked, "How much did you spend?" "Huh? How much did you spend to rent him?" Grandpa, I didn't rent him. He's really my boyfriend." She was speechless. No wonder Grandpa wouldn't believe Lu Tingxiao when he said he brought someone else. The old man sighed. "I know you want to reassure Grandpa, but you don't have to, Grandpa. I really didn't rent him. If you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you." Ningxi said as she pulled Lu Tingxiao's neck down and kissed him on the lips. The old man saw what she had done in a daze and glared at her anxiously. You girl. How could you let him take advantage of you? That's ridiculous, cough, cough. Ningxi. Well, she still couldn't believe that this was really her boyfriend. Grandpa, I haven't introduced myself. My surname is Lu, and my name is Lu Tingxiao. I'm working at Lu Enterprises, and I'm indeed dating Xiaoxi. Lu Tingxiao said. The old man was stunned and tried to open his eyes to look at the man in front of him. Wait, who did you say you were? Lu what? Lu Tingxiao. Grandpa, how much money do I need to have to rent Lu Tingxiao? Ningxi said helplessly. He's Lu Tingxiao? Lu Tingxiao fished out an ID card and handed it to the old man. Therefore, Grandpa Sheng's expression changed from suspicion to shock. Oh, Grandpa, there's something I'm hiding from you, Ningxi said as she pulled out Xiaobao, who had been obediently standing behind Lu Tingxiao. Here, this is your great-grandson. Grandpa Luo was a little sleepy and his brain was not very clear. When he suddenly saw Ningxi pull out a white and soft little bun from behind and heard the words great-grandson, he suddenly widened his eyes. What did you say? Seeing that the old man almost jumped up from the bed, Ningxi was startled and quickly went over to support him. Grandpa, don't be agitated. Be careful of your health. How could I not be excited? You. Help me take this thing off. Hurry. The old man was so anxious that he pulled on the respirator on his face. Ningxi had no choice but to temporarily take it away for him. The old man immediately stretched out his trembling hand and stared at Xiaobao without blinking, as if he was afraid that he would disappear. Come to great-grandpa. Xiaobao turned to look at Ningxi. Then, under Ningxi's encouraging gaze, he obediently walked to the old man's side and reached out his little hand to hold the old man's hand. The moment the little hand held his palm, the old man's turbid tears instantly fell, and his body trembled uncontrollably. Is this really my good grandson? Ningxi's eyes were also red, but she didn't know how to answer. Lu Tingxiao said, Yes, Xiaobao is mine, Xiaoxi's child. Hearing this, Xiaobao nodded hard. He was Papa and Mama's child. Chapter 802. Grandpa Ning held the little boy's hand carefully. Yes, this is the flesh and blood of the Ning family. I can feel it. After seeing Xiaobao, Grandpa Ning focused all his attention on the little boy. He took the little boy's hand and looked at him over and over again. So much like Xiaoxi. Look at the eyes, the nose. Grandpa Ning kept saying that Xiaobao looked like Ningxi here and there. Ningxi could only reply, but in her heart, she was thinking, isn't Xiaobao carved from the same mold as Lu Tingxiao? Why does he look like her? Xiaoxi, take the child out first. I have something to say to him alone. Grandpa Ning looked at Lu Tingxiao and said seriously, Grandpa, do you want to take a rest? Don't be too tired. Ningxi was worried. It's okay. Grandpa is not tired. Are you afraid that Grandpa will eat him up? Ningxi, take Xiaobao out first. Lu Tingxiao also said. Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao helplessly and could only take Xiaobao out to wait. In the ward, Grandpa Ning stared at the man in front of him inquisitively. What's going on between you and Xiaoxi? When we found out that Xiaoxi was pregnant, we were going to get married, but we separated because of some misunderstanding. We didn't meet again until 5 years later. Ningxi waited for half an hour before Lu Tingxiao finally came out. How is it? Ningxi hurried to ask. Grandpa wants you to take Xiaobao in and have a look at him. Oh. Ningxi hurriedly led Xiaobao in. She was just about to speak to Grandpa Ning when he passed her and looked at Xiaobao, saying in a very gentle tone, Xiaobao, how old are you this year? Xiaobao wrote 5 on the writing board. Have you gone to school? Kindergarten. Do your father and mother get along well? Yes. Ningxi was worried that there would be problems with Xiaobao and Grandpa's communication. To her surprise, they got along so well that she became redundant. The old man, who had been on the verge of death just a moment ago, now looked as if he had been reborn. She didn't know what Lu Tingxiao said to Grandpa Sheng and how he explained it to him. After chatting with Xiaobao for a long time, Grandpa Sheng said to her earnestly, Cici, you should be with Ting Xiao. It's not easy to meet someone who treats you sincerely. Grandpa, I will. Grandpa knows that you are very ambitious, but you can't neglect the people around you, understand? Oh, got it. After leaving the hospital, Ningxi was confused. Hey, Lu Tingxiao, what did you say to Grandpa? Why did Grandpa suddenly favor you so much? You're practically speaking up for me. Logically speaking, you made me pregnant, so shouldn't he be very unhappy with you? You want to know? Lu Tingxiao looked at her meaningfully. Ningxi nodded. Yes. Lu Tingxiao, a father's status depends on his sons. Ningxi, a father's status depends on his sons. This description is amazing. I told Grandpa that we can't get married because of your current job. As long as you ask, we can get our marriage certificate anytime. That was so mean. If that was the case, wouldn't it all become her fault? Although what Lu Tingxiao said seemed to be the truth, that's it. What else? What else did you say? Ningxi didn't think it was that simple. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her and then said unhurriedly, I told Grandpa that we plan to have 3 to 5 more children in the future. Ningxi almost choked on her own saliva. 3 to 5? That's too much. She never thought that this guy would be so good at pleasing the old man. Chapter 803. After leaving the hospital, they sent Xiaobao back to school. On the way back, Ningxi couldn't help but ask Lu Tingxiao, who was driving then, how did you explain to Grandpa about us? Lu Tingxiao had said last night that he would handle it, so she didn't ask further. She was really curious now. Lu Tingxiao looked out the window at the rising sun after the snow. As he drove, he said quietly, I said, we met by chance, fell in love at first sight, and fell in love again. Because we couldn't help ourselves, we tasted the forbidden fruit and had Xiaobao. Young love is like the wind. It always comes and goes quickly. Because of some small misunderstanding, you left me and Xiaobao far away. 5 years later, we met again and found that we still couldn't forget each other. Although the road ahead was unpredictable, we still chose to be together and face it together. This was the first time she heard so many words from Lu Tingxiao at once, and they were all so unbelievable. It didn't seem like something he would say at all. Ningxi's jaw almost dropped as she listened. Damn, Lu Tingxiao, you're so good at making things up. You could even be a scriptwriter, and a scriptwriter for a romantic idol drama. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her from the rearview mirror and said slowly, I'm not making things up. This is what I'm thinking. If only we could have met earlier. In that instant, Ningxi felt as if her heart had been hit hard. Lu Tingxiao's words reverberated in her mind. If only we could have met earlier. This was also what she had said to herself many times in her dreams. If only she could have met this man in front of her earlier. The next second, the light turned red. Ningxi leaned over and quickly covered Lu Tingxiao's lips. The girl's sweet scent invaded all his senses. Lu Tingxiao was startled at first, but then he turned his head and took the initiative. The light turned green. Lu Tingxiao only came back to his senses when he heard urging from behind. He panted slightly and said, I'm driving. Don't mess around. Ningxi puffed up her cheeks. I'm not messing around. I just wanted to kiss you. You're the one who messed around. Lu Tingxiao. The next day was Saturday. When Ningxi took Xiaobao to see Grandpa Ning could already get out of bed and play with Xiaobao for the whole morning. In the first few days, Ningxi was still anxious, fearing that Grandpa Ning was having a sudden recovery. It wasn't until Grandpa Ning got better day by day that she finally calmed down. Grandpa, it's almost time to visit the patients. Xiaobao, say goodbye to great-grandpa. Every time she came, she would avoid meeting Ning Xueluo and the others. Xiaobao's head contentedly. Xiaobao. Grandpa touched Xiaobao's head contentedly. Cici, Xiaobao. If those people found out about the relationship between Cici and Lu Tingxiao, they would definitely make trouble. At least, she had to wait until they got married. Otherwise, if the news that Cici was pregnant before marriage was spread out, it would definitely have a bad influence on her. Now that he had a grandson, he was satisfied. Knowing that the Ning family still had a sliver of their bloodline, he could die in peace. However, for the sake of Xiaoxi and the little baby, he had to live well, support them, and wait for his great-grandson, number 2345, to be born. Chapter 804. After the Fashion Week, Zhe Ling had proven its strength at the Golden Top Award. Because of Qin Shangyue's influence and fame, they finally had a breakthrough in the market. In the past few days, there had been people contacting them through various channels to express their intention to cooperate. However, these people were all good and bad. If they weren't professionals in the industry and couldn't accurately identify them, then it was very likely that all the previous efforts would be ruined in a single cooperation. All of a sudden, Ning Shi's workload suddenly increased. Gong Shangze and Han Momo had to rush the ready-made clothing samples, while she had to collect information on the collaborators one by one. Just when she was overwhelmed with work, Qin Shangyue's trump card finally arrived. Hearing the doorbell ring, Han Momo immediately craned her neck and asked, "Is it our marketing director? I'll go open the door." A moment later, Han Momo came in with a woman. She was wearing a clean champagne-colored suit, and her hair was tied up in a bun at the back of her head. There was no extra expression on her face, and she had the fierce aura of a city skeleton spirit. She was indeed the aura of a trump card. "Xiao Weilon, Boss Qin asked me to report in," Xiao Weilon said simply, in a businesslike tone. "Hello, I'm Ning Shi, the person in charge of Zhe Ling Director Xiao. Please sit." Ning Shi politely led her to the office. "I had some work to hand over, so I was delayed for a few days," Xiao Weilon explained. "It's okay, it's my duty." Ning Shi expressed her understanding. After a few casual greetings, Ning Shi directly brought up the most important point. "I don't know if Boss Qin has told you about my situation. We are a new small studio, and the commission is definitely not as high as when you were with Boss Qin. Although you were transferred to me by Boss Qin, you can't force it. If you don't want to stay with me, I can help you talk to Boss Qin." "No need. I have no objection to Boss Qin's arrangement," Xiao Weilon said expressionlessly. Ning Shi looked at Xiao Weilon's expression. Although she wasn't too enthusiastic, she didn't show any special rejection. She was completely obedient. The situation was much better than she had expected. She was transferred here midway, and they didn't expect her to integrate so quickly. Ning Shi continued, "The situation of our studio is very simple. I believe I don't need to explain more. First, let me introduce two colleagues to you. This is our design director, Gong Shangze, and this is his assistant, Han Momo." They got to know each other. Xiao Weilon's gaze only stayed on Gong Shangze for a while, and then she returned to her robotic state. After the introduction, Ning Shi showed her around the studio and the office. "At present, our business is mainly divided into advanced customization and ready-to-wear specialty stores. Our core positioning is only for the high-end market, so our customer base must be strictly screened." After hearing this, Xiao Weilon said directly, "I will select a suitable partner from the existing customer base resources within 3 days. After you have a look, I will negotiate with the other party and discuss the further cooperation plan." All right. Although the other party's attitude was a little cold, fortunately, his professional skills were superb. He immediately solved Ning Shi's urgent problem. As for the future, whether she would continue to complete the task step by step or be able to integrate wholeheartedly, it would depend on fate. The most important thing was that this beauty was not her type. Very good. Her chastity was preserved. The camera would inevitably favor beauties. "Keep 3 close-up shots of Ning Shi and put her together with Jiang Mai's," the director said to his assistant. After the show, Ning Shualua said goodbye to the crew with a smile, chatted with Ning Shi and the director for a while, and then got into the nanny van. As soon as she got in the car, the smile on Ning Shualuo's face immediately turned dark. She picked up her phone and called home. "You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories." Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.